and welcome to the podcast, the Drafted Up Podcast. That's Nick. I'm Theo. It's week 18, the final week of the NFL regular season. So today, we're diving into those week 18 games. We got some important ones. We got a bunch of games that aren't important, but ton of draft order stuff's going to be happening on Sunday. Teams going to be moving around. We got one or two playoff spots open and seedings to determine there. So we're gonna touch base on that. We're really not gonna do any fantasy talk today because week 18 fantasy football is dumb, and you'll understand why as we go through these games. Before we dive into that, you know where to find us. We're over on Twitter/X at @DraftedUp_pod. Apple, YouTube, Spotify, that's where you can find the show. Search Drafted Up Podcast. We'll be there. Like, rate, subscribe, review, and word of mouth. Tell a friend. If you have friends who like football, like fantasy football, like the NFL draft, tell them to give us a listen and give us a little shout out. We appreciate it. And like I said, on Tuesday, we're looking at doing a Dynasty Startup League. If you guys are interested, shoot one of us a comment, send one of us a text. You guys know where to find us, and look forward to doing that. How are you doing today, Nicholas?
Doing good. Just getting ready for week 18. Playoffs are right around the corner, dude. Couple spots here or there still available. One seed's on the line in the NFC. It's going to be a good week, dude.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a fun week of football, and even the teams that are bad, they have some importance here because one winner,
Giants.
Yeah, there's a like if you guys win, you could fall to pick 9. So there's some
you don't put that us. Don't put that on us.
There's
Ricky,
some
Bobby.
wild stuff.
If we win, dude.
Yeah, let's dive right on into it. We got 2 games on Saturday, both from the AFC North. We got the Cleveland Browns going up against the Baltimore Ravens. If the Ravens win, they clinch the division, clinch the 3 spot in the AFC. The over-under of this game is 41 points. The Ravens are favored by 20.
Yeah. 20, dude. I can't believe the line went up since Tuesday when we recorded. It was 18.5 then, and it went up to 20 now. Yeah, we might see a murder out there on Sunday, dude.
The Browns, they benched Dorian Thompson-Robinson. We got that news today. They're going Bailey Zappi.
Smart.
I figured that would have shifted the line a little in their favor because I think Bailey Zappi's a better player than Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
He's a better quarterback.
Jerome Ford's not going to be playing, so maybe that's playing a factor into this. So it looks like it's Deonta Foreman going to be controlling that backfield. No Njoku probably, so we're looking at Jerry Jeudy, shout out him, Pro Bowler. First time for him, a heck of a season. So Baltimore's going to be putting out their full lineup. Lamar, Derrick Henry, Pro Bowler Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews. This game could get ugly quick. It wouldn't even surprise me if we do see a ton of the Ravens backups. They might have this game locked up by halftime.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're essentially playing for just a playoff game, so they're going to sit guys if they have a huge lead. I don't expect it to be close. Obviously, Vegas doesn't either. 20-point spread is outlandish. It's never heard of. It's got to be probably the largest spread of the season. I don't know if they're going to cover or not, but man, it's going to be not pretty for the Cleveland Browns.
I wouldn't normally I'd see a spread like that, be like, oh, I'm going to bet the team that's favored to lose by that much. But it honestly wouldn't surprise me if the Ravens win. They're going to win. They're going to if they cover. This is the biggest spread.
It's only a 3 touchdown spread. It's very easily coverable for Baltimore.
So the largest spread in NFL history.
I don't know if that's a word.
The largest spread
in history.
Yeah, it was in 2013. The Jaguars were 26.5-point underdogs to the Denver Broncos. They covered. It was 35-19. Still not close. Those teams that have been, projected to lose, the top 25 spreads in NFL history, the team has lost every game. So I don't like Cleveland's chance at all whatsoever.
Yeah, no, Cleveland's not going to win this game. It's not going to be close. I'm not going to speak for the spread because it's 20 points. That's insane. But Baltimore's going to win.
Yeah,
Billy Zappi, though, very good college quarterback.
yeah,
It's pretty cool to see him out there.
He's had a little bit of run with New England. He's played some. He's looked passable.
Yeah.
He's looked better than DTR. So,
Oh, well, it's not
and
comparable.
DTR really wasn't. He was a project coming in out of UCLA. So, we'll see. More so, Cleveland. Where do they go in the offseason? Like, do you think there's a chance? Because I've actually, the more I've heard, I heard this on another pod, that the Browns are going to go out and sign Kirk Cousins, and he's going to sign the Russell Wilson deal, where he's just going to sign for dirt money because Atlanta's paying him regardless. And then Watson's just going to be the backup on this team. And Kirk Cousins, he was with Kevin Stefanski in Minnesota, so the history's there. And I actually think that makes a ton of sense because, I don't know, Cleveland, they may or may not be in position to draft a quarterback, but they also have a ton of needs. Like, do they go and draft a quarterback when they could use some other things? And Myles Garrett has gone out and said he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild, so maybe they move him in the offseason. It's going to be an interesting offseason here for Cleveland, but I kind of like the Kirk Cousins to Cleveland because then I think that gives Jerry Jeudy still some fantasy relevance going into next year, and David Njoku, and the team as a whole, because it looks like they're going to lose Nick Chubb.
Yeah, Kirk's an upgrade for sure, but with Watson there, I expect Watson. They're gonna run it out one more year with Watson. That's how I see it going. I honestly do, because they're paying him regardless for the next 2 years. So he's gonna be on the team regardless next season. So I think they're just gonna let it rock to see how they're gonna bring in a backup. Don't get me wrong. They're gonna bring in a guy that can 100% compete for the job. I don't know who it's gonna be. I don't know the market. I don't want to throw out I think Zach Wilson's a pretty tricky name out in football right now with quarterbacks getting second chances. He was with the Jets. He looked better than Rodgers did with the Jets. I'm not saying Zach Wilson's a good quarterback. I'm just saying Sam Darnold got a second chance, third chance. Baker got a second chance. These quarterbacks deserve a second chance at some point.
The first thing I looked when I typed in Zach Wilson to see his contract, he is a free agent, is the New York Giants will sign Zach Wilson in 2025.
Ooh.
Look,
I was just saying he deserves a chance. I don't think I won it with my team. That's fair.
So here's my mind. Like, I don't think you could do that to like the Browns team and the fans. Like,
they don't care.
They did
care.
it before.
The owner
they've done it now
care.
2 years in a row, and the backup, the person who's come in to replace Deshaun Watson, the team has gotten better offensively instantly. Like, this should make him see, like,
we know this.
I don't know. I do think they're going to have a different quarterback next year. I like the Kirk Cousins thing because they can get him cheap. Atlanta's going to let go of him, and him there with them, I think, then helps Cleveland fantasy wise next year, going into 2025.
I think like the restructuring of Watson's deal in my eyes just sees in my eyes that he's going to be their quarterback next year regardless.
Rough.
I get it, but I think that's how the Browns are.
So then, if it is Watson, then does that make you uninterested in Jeudy and Njoku going into next year? Cedric Tillman, those guys.
Yeah, for the move. I mean, I wouldn't be super happy with Kirk there, to be honest. I get he was doing fine with Atlanta, like fantasy wise for those guys, but he still looked like garbage, dude. And next year he's just another year older, so I don't know if I'd be happy with Kirk there or not, but way more than Watson. I'll give you that.
Baltimore wins this game. Moving on to the primetime Saturday game, the Cincinnati Bengals fighting for their playoff lives against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Bengals are 2-point road favorites, an over-under of 48. Pittsburgh does have something to play for. If Baltimore does somehow lose to Cleveland, Pittsburgh wins, they can win the division. But if Pittsburgh beats Cincinnati, it seals their deal, their spot locked up as the 5 seed, and they'll get to play the Texans in the first round of the playoffs. If they lose, then Sunday the Chargers have something to play for. The Chargers, when the Chargers get the 5 seed, they would play Houston, and then Pittsburgh would have to go on the road to Baltimore. So a much better scenario winning this game for Pittsburgh than potentially losing and falling and having to face a division rival and a team who's hot in Baltimore.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh's going to want to play hard here just to try to keep Cincinnati out of the playoffs because they're a division rival. No one wants to face Cincinnati in the playoffs, so I expect this game to be pretty
so
good.
the Bengals do need a decent amount of stuff to happen for them to get in. They got to beat Pittsburgh on Saturday, and then on Sunday.
But it all starts Saturday, so Cincinnati, regardless, needs to go out there and play
Sunday,
hard.
If the Bengals do win, they need the Jets to beat the Dolphins, and they would need the Chiefs to beat the Broncos. So a lot for them to fall in, and if they do fall in, they would get a first-round matchup versus Buffalo, and the NFL is going to want that. Huge ratings for that game. Two of the best quarterbacks in the league in Burrow and Allen. So who do you think Cincinnati wins, or you go with Pittsburgh? I know you've been higher on Pittsburgh. They're not playing their best ball right now.
I don't know. This one honestly was probably the hardest matchup I've had all week when I was really looking at the games earlier today. I did have Pittsburgh most of the day. I switched it to Cincinnati a couple times, but the more I'm thinking about it, I'm just leaning more towards Pittsburgh. They're just a better football team. Cincinnati's just easily beatable. They don't have a good defense. They've proven that they can hang in there with Cincinnati. They've proven that they can do shootouts. They can do low-scoring games. And like you said, they're not playing their best ball. But at the end of the day, Mike Tomlin is a phenomenal coach. So I trust him more than anything Cincinnati has.
Tomlin is a better coach. I don't know if Pittsburgh's a better team than Cincinnati. I think the Bengals have a better team. I'm gonna take the Joe Burrow team over the Russell Wilson team.
Yeah, quarterback doesn't usually mean everything, though.
Well, it does in Cincinnati because Joe Burrow's literally been doing everything this year. An incredible year. We talked about Burrow on Tuesday. And I think the Bengals win, but they're not going to make the playoffs. They need too much to happen. I can't see Denver and Miami going down on Sunday. And it would just be the prototypical end for this Bengals season, to crawl back into this after essentially just having a terrible start and then being, whitewashed. They're not going to make the playoffs. And then to get to the point where they are, potentially to get in, only to be crushed on Sunday. So that's the route I'm going. I think Cincinnati wins. I think Joe Burrow is going to come out, light it up like he's been all year. I think Pittsburgh is just content coasting into the playoffs because they're a good coach team, and I think they'd be fine going to Baltimore, division rival. They've beat Baltimore already this year. I don't think Pittsburgh cares if they're playing Baltimore or Houston, despite what the matchup says on paper. So I think Cincinnati wins and Pittsburgh kind of just coasts this game. I don't think they're going to go full out. It wouldn't surprise me if we see Justin Fields some on Saturday.
I expect this game to be pretty full out. It's a division game. Tomlin isn't one of those coaches that goes in with ease, especially with the division game. And then he has a chance to not go into Baltimore. He can go into Houston. And Cincinnati barely beat Denver last week. Pittsburgh is a way better team than Denver. So that's how I'm looking at this.
See, Pittsburgh is not playing good football. So that's why I would take, if Denver and Pittsburgh played right now, I would probably pick Denver. They're playing better ball.
I would not. Tomlin versus a rookie coach. Bo Nix would not be able to beat that defense.
Sean Payton is far from a rookie coach.
No, I instantly went into Bo Nix. Bo Nix wouldn't be able to beat Pittsburgh's defense. It wouldn't happen.
So then, who are you ultimately going up for here? You going with Pittsburgh or are you taking the Bengals?
Oh yeah, no, I'm going Pittsburgh.
All right, I'm going Cincinnati here. All right, Sunday slate. We got New Orleans and Spencer Rattler going to Tampa Bay to take on the Bucs. The Bucs win, they're in. They clinch the South. The Bucs are 14-point home favorites, an over-under of 43.5.
This game
there's no way.
It's one of those scenarios.
Just this game. It really this game's about
the Bucs are coming out hot.
Mike Evans his 1,000 yards.
He needs 85. He needs like 85 yards and a touchdown. If he gets both of those, he gets like a $3 million bonus as well, and he gets the 1,000-yard streak to tie Jerry Rice. Bet any over under with Mike Evans on 80 receiving yards and a touchdown. I got the parlay going already for him. I locked it in. everyone on the Bucs you can start. Baker, Bucky, Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan. I'm cool with all of them.
Yeah, the Saints are,
and New Orleans is just
the Saints are a shit
garbage,
show
dude.
right now.
Like Spencer Rattler
and
is
Kendrick Miller wasn't practicing, so is it Jamal Williams? I don't even know if he's still there, or because I know he was banged up too.
He is.
So the offense has nobody. The Saints are just playing to get a better draft pick because they're currently drafting, I think, 8 or 9. So a loss for them could put them up into the draft order. I expect Tampa to just absolutely murder them and take over the South and get a nice playoff.
Yeah, I expect Mike Evans to have another huge week. MVS is another guy with a contract incentive in this game. If he scores a touchdown, he gets a pay bonus. So just keep that in mind if you are playing in Week 18. Go out, look at videos that are telling you about contract bonuses and what people need to get, because that's really what Week 18 is for like really bad teams. They're going to go out there and get these guys touches, carries, targets, touchdowns. So expect MVS to try to get a touchdown in this game.
Yeah, and expect a big game from Baker Mayfield as well. He's playing with that little chip still. Didn't make the Pro Bowl. Those were announced. I mean, yeah,
I get it, but he's got like 40-some touchdowns on the year, dude.
I would have put him in over Jared Goff, but Jared Goff was voted the starter. It's Goff, Daniels, and Darnold. Like, which one of them are you pulling from that group?
Yeah, I get it.
So you're going Tampa. I'm going Tampa. Moving on.
Yeah, I think any sane person is going Tampa Bay in this
unless
game.
You're trying to, try to bet $1 and try to get a huge up in your investment because the Saints are the bad plus 600 money line. The New York Giants travel to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. An over-under of 37.5. The Eagles are 3-point home favorites. So that line tells you
with
right
backups
there that it's either going to be Tanner McKee or Ian Book that start this game.
It's Kenny Pickett's probably going to get rested as well because he's banged up. He's not practicing either. I expect it to be Tanner McKee. The Eagles already said Barkley's not getting options in this game, so I doubt any of the linemen are going to be out there. I doubt A.J. Brown's going to be out there. Smith's probably not going to be out there. So you're looking at a full team of backups, and I hope to God they beat the Giants, dude.
In your mindset, yeah, because if you guys somehow win this game, things could fall nasty, and you could be drafting outside the top 5.
No, yeah, for sure. We'd be probably around like 7 or 8, and that'd be horrendous, dude. We're the worst team in football. So
hypothetically, say you do win, and you do draft 8th. Would you rather try to move up to 1 or 2 to get Shador or Cam Ward?
No. I'm not trading up for any
quarterback. Or would you
quarterback
rather trade the 8th pick, maybe even do a pick swap with Minnesota and get J.J. McCarthy and just move other pieces around?
No, I'm good. I'm cool getting Tetro McMillan to pair with Malik Neighbors and then drafting Arch Manning next year.
Well,
I'm cool with that.
I mean, the Patriots could take him. I don't know if Tet makes it to 8, especially if the Saints are in front of you.
There's a chance he's at 8. But there's a chance.
There's no way. If you guys keep Joe Sheen and Brian Dable, there's no way they go it. Now, if you fire them, if they both get fired and you have a new coach, new GM, drafting a quarterback here,
Joe Sheen's gonna get fired.
If those guys are both saying they have to take a quarterback, so they have to figure out, because it's their last year, they're not going to go into what is their final season with the Drew Lock or whoever.
You better hope you get Justin Fields.
Like even then, that's not going to be good enough for me as an owner. Like, you get a franchise quarterback, but if it's a new group, a new GM, new head coach, there's not a rush for them to get a quarterback, because chances are they're not getting fired next year, and they can get a quarterback the following season, and then they could roll with a stopgap quarterback.
No quarterback is worth trading up 8 picks in this draft.
I agree.
They're just not. And if Joe Shane has already done a ton of questionable moves as GM, that's a plummet. You're literally going to be fired.
But
They're not good enough quarterbacks.
But he doesn't. If he's getting fired, he doesn't care. So trade away the assets and potentially, and if he trades up and he hits on the quarterback, his job's safe. He's fine. He's not going anywhere. GMs on their last whim don't care about the future if they might not be involved. So
yeah, I get that. You're in a better option with Justin Fields throwing to Malik Neighbors and one of the top 3 receivers in this draft class.
I mean, realistically, yes, but that's not going to save Joe Sheena's job. Whereas Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders hitting saves his job, and Brian Daboll if they're both there. Yeah,
you're talking to a guy that would. If we would trade up from 8 to 1, I would probably not be a New York Giants fan anymore. That's not worth it. It's not. It would be insane. Why would I blindly follow a team that doesn't know what they're doing?
Do you think the Giants win this game, like against the backups? Or you think
no?
Drew Lock was wild on Sunday against the Colts.
No. Yeah, the Colts are a bad team. Eagles with backups are still a good team, a well-coached team. I would take Eagles with backups. The
Eagles,
for sure.
If they are a well-coached team, it would be smart of Sirianni to throw this game because it would screw a division rival. You go out there, tell your boys, hey,
but you can't
only give 50.
No, but no NFL player is screwing. They're going out there and playing games, and that showed with us last week dropping 45 when we were already quote for quote tanking.
Yeah.
The players aren't tanking. The management might be, but players aren't. There's no NFL player that tanks.
Yeah. This is actually the toughest game for me to pick because it wouldn't surprise me. Like Malik Neighbors is better than any of the Eagles' backup corners, and Drew Lock's better than Tanner McKee. Like the Giants on paper should beat the Eagles' backups.
We should.
I don't think we will. Yeah, because you guys also you don't want to win. And so it's a catch. I do think the Eagles do end up winning, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Giants go out and win and cover and really throw a wrench into the draft position going into 2025.
Oh, yeah, we definitely could. But back to the tanking thing, I think it was Foster Moreau in a press conference.
The Saints
was talking about how there's not an NFL player that is actively trying to lose because this is their resume. This is how they're going to get jobs next year. And if they're not out there performing well, they're not going to get another contract. So, like, every NFL player is out there trying to win. It's just that management might not want them to. And that showed in Miami a couple years ago when they actively were trying to get Brian Flores to tank.
That was a whole scene.
And he said, no, I'm not doing it.
That guy hates Tua Tagovailoa, too.
Yes, he does. I mean,
Chicago, the Bears, they go to the Packers. Face off against Green Bay. The Packers are 10-point home favorites over under a 41. So the Packers could rest their guys, like but they can improve their seed if Washington loses. If Washington loses and the Packers win, the Packers then will travel to Tampa and take on the Bucks or Atlanta if Atlanta wins, or the Rams, one of those teams. But if the Packers lose or if Washington wins, the Packers are playing Philly. They're pretty much locked in as the final seed. So I would rather go to Tampa, Atlanta, or LA than go to Philly, even though Green Bay did hang with Philly this year, but that was a Brazil game, neutral field. Who knows? But
it was also week 1.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Yeah. And Chicago.
Yeah, Philly's a whole different team.
Chicago's abysmal. They're
they're borderline Saints and Giants territory at this point.
I don't even know if Green Bay would decide to be like, we don't care who we play in the playoffs, and they kind of put Malik Willis out there. I don't know if Chicago wins this game.
It'll be pretty close regardless of what Green Bay does. It's going to be like the Philly game. But if you're looking to need to play people, Caleb, you can start. He might be playing keep up. And DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, I'm still cool with.
Yeah,
Jazeer Alexander's out for the year, so that's a pretty big.
He hasn't played the last few weeks, anyways. He hasn't been on the field for a while.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's not going to be out there for Green Bay.
Valentine's been playing better football. Their other corner had an interception against Minnesota. To me, Jair Alexander's kind of overrated. I've always felt that way. Like, I don't think he's as good. I think he just gets the Green Bay bump. But I think they'll be fine without him. The offense, though, has not been clicking. Like, Jordan Love's not playing his best football right now. The receivers are
Mhm.
banged up here and there. Like I do think the Packers go out, and I think they're going to try to have a get-right game. I think you're going to see all their starters just on the slim chance, because Washington could lose. Washington's playing Dallas, so Dallas is playing for Mike McCarthy's job. So we'll see there. I think Green Bay wins regardless. I think Chicago's just going into this.
I think any division game that is happening this week that has any type of playoff info, any type of.
I thought you were just going to say any division game.
No,
they're all division games.
It has to have even the tiniest bit of playoff implications. I think they're going to be out there playing their hardest, because it's a division game. You're going to go out there for pride, but then there's also a slim chance of a playoff implication. So any division game with a playoff implication this week, I think we're getting full starters for all 4 quarters.
Yeah. Unless it's a blowout. If Green Bay's up 20 going into the 4th, we're not going to see Jordan Love out there.
No, but it's going to be most of the game.
Yeah. But regardless, I think the Packers walk away with this. I don't think this game's going to be close.
Yeah,
the Bears are in shambles, and
what's the spread? I think it'll be pretty close to covering.
Yeah, the Bears couldn't catch up, cover that spread, and but I don't think there's a shot that they win.
No, I don't think it's going to be less than a touchdown, to be honest.
Buffalo.
Like between them.
Buffalo goes to New England to take on the Patriots. The Bills are 2.5-point road favorites, over under 37. Buffalo's come out. They said Josh Allen's starting the game, and then they're taking him right out.
Dude, he's getting a snap, and he's going to leave.
Yeah,
that's going to be hilarious.
He's got to keep that Iron Man streak alive. So this is a...
So those people bitching about Cam Ward leaving the game at halftime, I don't hear shit. Josh Allen came in and has just abandoned his
this
team.
is a meaningless game for Buffalo. This game means nothing. The Bills can improve their seeding.
That game means nothing to Cam Ward. Oh, that's a bowl game that half the starters from Miami didn't even suit up for. Cam Ward suited up.
Yeah, and he got his record and left, which is fine. I don't blame him. I'm glad he did suit up.
That's what Josh Allen's doing. He's suiting up, getting his record.
The Eagles should be suiting up Saquon Barkley. We didn't even talk about that. Like, Saquon Barkley, they should at least give him a drive. See what kind of juice he's got. And if he's got a bad drive, say he's get 3 carries and he doesn't get a first down, then pull him.
I agree, but you would have to look at it. If you really want to give Barkley a chance at the record, you would also need the offensive lineman out there. So now you're kind of risking 6 guys, and that's way more than 1. I get not having anyone out there. It's Super Bowl or bust for Philly this year. I truly get it.
So Buffalo, we're going to see a lot of Mitch Trubisky, which is Mitch Trubisky better? Is Drake May playing? Like, I saw he was questionable. I haven't looked at any sort of practice reports for him. Like, if Drake May's not out there, Jacoby Brissett's not beating Buffalo. But Drake May is out there. 7 hours ago, Alex Van Pelt said Drake May's starting, which would be huge.
Okay, he's been limited all week, so you just have to watch out for that.
If New England wins this game, because New England has the first pick right now, they're in position to win against Mitch Trubisky. I think the abysmal Patriots team, Drake May, I think Drake May's good enough that he can get this team a win against the Bills' backups, even with his weapons being non-existent. But New England should lose this game because they have the first pick. They have all the power. They can move that pick, acquire assets, and then still get the guy or two that like they could move to 3, still get Travis Hunter. Or if they're okay with missing out on Travis Hunter, they could move back to 6, 7, 8 and get Will Campbell, Kelvin Banks, Tet McMillan, Mason Graham, one of these other guys, if they're missing out on Travis Hunter. So like the first pick going to New England is incredibly beneficial to them because they're moving it. There's no way they stay at 1 in my eyes.
I've heard multiple analysts talk about them trading Drake May. It started with Nick Wright, who I agree. I 100% agree. But I've heard 4 or 5 other analysts besides him bring up that Drake May, they might trade him if they like Cam Ward or Shadir Moore, which would be hilarious. Hey, here's a quarterback I'd trade 8 for. There you go. Drake May, baby.
I would trade 2 for Drake May. If I'm Tennessee or Cleveland,
Drake May over any quarterback in this draft.
Drake May is the clear number 1 pick in this draft if he's in it.
Speaking of quarterbacks on the market, I hear you guys are shopping JJ apparently. Taking calls at least, which I
think we'll
like.
do our due diligence in general. Whether it's there's no way Sam Darnold leaves Minnesota at this point. He's getting franchised.
No.
I think Darnold will for sure be the starter next year. I think McCarthy will still be the backup, unless a team comes out and blows us away with an offer. Like if Tennessee would offer pick 2, I think we do it. We get the second pick of the draft. We can get a prime play. We can get Travis Hunter. We can get Mason Graham. Like. Unless if the Vikings aren't blown away with an offer, like if a team offers like a 2, Minnesota's not doing it.
You hope so.
I don't think so. The locker room loves JJ McCarthy. They love Sam Darnold. I think they're both going to be there next year, unless there's a blown away offer. Like if they can get a top 10 pick,
you guys already got your backup. You brought him in this season.
Well, his contract's up at the end of the year, so he's not there next year.
You could bring him back.
Yeah,
very easy and negotiable.
But it'll be McCarthy. Unless we get a top 10 pick for McCarthy, I don't think we're moving him. But I would rather JJ McCarthy. I would rather JJ McCarthy than any quarterback in this draft. So I had both
this guy.
These guys under McCarthy going into last year still feel that way.
Not this guy. I would take Shadir, and I don't like Shadir Sanders, but I would take him over JJ McCarthy.
No, not me. What game were we on? Buffalo and New England. Who wins?
Yeah.
You think Buffalo wins even with? You think Mitch Trubisky beats?
Yeah, I'm just taking the chalk teams. I don't care. Ray Davis is one of their backups, and he's better than New England's starting running back. So
yeah, well, yeah. And I don't know who the Bills' backup receivers are, but they could probably hang with
Matt Collins.
Well, Matt Collins plays like starter minutes though.
Curtis Samuel, maybe.
I think he's on IR, but
he's limited in practice. He's playing.
I also think Buffalo wins. I think New England's. Do you think Jared Mayo gets fired?
No.
So if they're,
which is insane to me. That guy does not know what he's doing.
He's not a good coach. I don't think it's good for Drake May, but I think Robert Kraft's going to be too stubborn in his ways. Like this was his hand-picked guy to take over for Belichick. He's not firing him after 1 year.
They seem set with Jared Mayo. They seem set with him.
Unless Mike Vrabel really wants to go here, I don't think they fire Mayo.
Yeah, it'd be a way better coach. And way better coach. Yeah, Jared Mayo has no idea what he's doing. He's very similar to Antonio Pierce, and ironically, they're both linebackers, both coaches now, and they're both have no idea what they're doing. I think Antonio Pierce is a
much better coach than Jared Mayo.
He's more of a locker room guy. He's not going to call you. I mean, he will call you soft to your face, but he's not going to go out to the media and be like, our guys are soft. Jared Mayo, he's not media trained. He doesn't know what he's doing in the coaching room. Antonio Pierce, though, is a locker room guy. The team loves Antonio Pierce.
In Jared Mayo's defense, Bill Belichick really left him the shittiest roster.
It's a horrendous roster. It's Drake May.
Carolina goes to Atlanta. The Falcons are 8-point home favorites, over under a 48. I don't think the Falcons win this game.
Oh, I think they win.
I think typical Atlanta fashion, they're going to flub this up. I said it in our off-season preview. I didn't think the Falcons were going to make the playoffs. It just felt like just a situation that it just always happens to Atlanta. I think it happens here. I think Carolina's going to go out, and they're going to have a strong finish. Bryce Young's he's going to be great on Sunday. I think they win.
Atlanta doesn't get in if Tampa wins, correct? If Tampa wins, Tampa's in. So they're not really flubbing it up. I think they beat Carolina.
They flubbed up the season is more what I was. Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
They had the
that falls back on Kirk Cousins.
They had the division on Sunday, and then they lost to Washington.
Oh, Washington's a way better team. Dude, Washington's a really good football team.
If they would have beat Washington, it went to overtime. Atlanta then is winning in.
Yeah, but I don't see a world where Atlanta can beat Washington. Washington's just a way better team.
Atlanta should have won on Sunday, but Raheem Morris flubbed up timeout situations, classic coaching.
Well, yeah, but that falls into Washington's a really well-coached team. Atlanta's not. So in close games, well-coached teams win. That's how it goes. I don't think either of these teams are well coached particularly.
I think Raheem Mostert's a good coach.
He's a good coach, yes, but he doesn't show in moments that he's a great coach.
And I think Dave Canales is a good coach. I think he's going to continue to get better in Atlanta, in Carolina.
I think he's a good coach. I agree. I don't think he's a great coach, though.
He's a first-time head coach, so he got a terrible situation. He's made the best of it here. Bryce Young's playing better football since getting benched coming in. He's been really playing good ball. Adam Thielen's healthy, playing good. Legette's back. I just think this just feels like a...
Miles Sanders is back.
Is he?
He's practicing.
That'll be good for them because their running back room is depleted. I thought he died.
I don't know if he's going to... yeah, he's limited in practice. I was wondering why his name is listed here. Okay. I'm still going to Atlanta. Bijan, Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Michael Penix, Kyle Pitts. That's just a way more talented team than Carolina.
No.
Raheem Mostert, I would take Raheem Mostert over the coach as well.
Would not take Raheem Mostert. Probably. I don't know. He might be a good coach. We'll see when he retires who he goes into coaching.
I bet you that guy's probably a really good running back coach. He seems like a sweet soul.
About like top to upper, like a head coach. Yeah.
Oh, no, he won't get that. No. If Deuce Staley still hasn't got that, I'll be damned if another running back does.
No. I don't even know where that guy is anymore.
Detroit, I believe.
I thought they fired him. They did. He's in Cleveland.
Good enough. Still his job.
Yep. He was in Carolina last year.
Horrendous organization.
Yeah. I still think Carolina wins this game. I think. I think they're playing their best ball, and I think they're going to go into 2025 strong. But there's a chance Carolina can pick two if all things fall into plan with teams losing, which would be huge for that. Which would be, I mean, not huge, but like they can get an elite player, like bring Abdul Carter into this team. I like that.
Yeah. Definitely.
The aforementioned Washington Commanders, they go to Dallas, take on the Cowboys. Commanders 6-point road favorites over under 44. Dallas. Hey, if Washington, you take away the big plays and they don't, score a ton, the Cowboys can win this game.
Yeah, if you take away all the big plays, the 5 big plays they had, Jaden Daniels, huge runs, Dallas might have
Washington.
Cooper Rush plays other teams that aren't Philly like a real quarterback, so we'll see what happens.
And they're to me essentially playing for Mike McCarthy's job. I don't know McCarthy. I don't know if he'll be back there or not. Because here's the thing.
I kind of think he's safe.
I think if he was under contract, regardless of what happens here, he stays. But he's a free agent, so they're not really firing him. They're letting him. He has the opportunity to go elsewhere. So like, I think that might be the out Dallas uses. Like, hey, like especially if he gets a job. Like, hey, we wanted him, but he got a better offer elsewhere, so he's not staying here. So, but I think if he was under contract, if he still had like a year on his deal, there's no way he gets fired in my eyes. But having the out.
Well, did they fire Jason Garrett, or was it a mutually agreed upon end of contract?
That I don't know,
because I thought that's how Jason Garrett also went out. I thought they didn't fire Jason Garrett.
Fire coaches.
No, he doesn't. He just lets them rock, and then he kills the organization.
He was fired mid-season.
Oh, that's hilarious. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. I hate that man. I hate that man with a passion. He comes into the Giants as an offensive coordinator, completely obliterates their team even worse than it was before. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Mid-season fire.
Oh, no. Okay. I should have read on. He was their coach for 9.5 seasons.
Oh, God damn it.
But they mutually, Jerry Jones announced that he would not renew Garrett's contract.
Yeah, okay, I thought so. God damn it, I hate being right in this scenario.
I saw the 9.5 season, so I'm like, he was fired mid-season. No, he
took
was
over mid-season
and then just became the coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Jerry Jones is a fire guy, so it wouldn't surprise me. I think they will. I think there's a chance McCarthy's back, but I think they're going to dabble elsewhere, try to see, like, maybe they try to bring in Mike Vrabel. I think they're going to try to bring in an established guy. Dallas isn't the type to bring in like a Ben Johnson, flashy new name. That's not their shtick. So
No.
I think they'll see what veteran coaches are out there. Credit. Maybe they do call Cleveland, like, hey, maybe Kevin Stefanski's available. They try to get him in a trade. I don't know. I think Dallas will explore things. I do think Mike McCarthy will be an option. But with him being up contract-wise, I don't know if he'll be back.
Man, could you imagine having a coach like Dan Quinn on the other side of the field? Oh, wait, Dallas, you did. And now you don't.
I do truly believe like that was their plan. Like I don't think they thought Dan Quinn was going to get a job.
It had to
and
be
then
their
Ben
plan.
Johnson pulled himself from the Washington job, and Washington's like, we want Dan Quinn. Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah, smart. He took Atlanta to the Super Bowl. I get he didn't get the job done, but like Dan Quinn's a great coach. I love what he's doing in Washington, dude.
Yeah, Quinn was a great coach in Atlanta, and now he's kind of meandered here, playing defensive coordinator for Dallas, looking good, and getting head coaching job interviews every year. And he's landing in a great spot in Washington. They're doing an incredible job there. Let's see if he can continue the success that he had in Atlanta here in Washington. I hope he does. Like Washington's a fun football team.
I think he's going to be good for Washington's good to go. They got Jaden Daniels.
Washington wins this game too.
They're set. Oh yeah, I agree. Washington's playing their starters, so Jaden Daniels is too good not to win.
The Houston Texans go to Tennessee to take on the Titans.
Oh, God, here we go.
The Titans are a 1.5 point home favorite over under 37. Houston is not playing their starters. So we're going to see Davis Mills. And did you see Brian Callahan said both Will Levis and Mason Rudolph are going to play this game?
I did. I seen their split in time, which is a great concept for guys like Chig and Tony Pollard who are out here for playing for fucking contract incentives. So
out there.
Oh, well, yeah, if he's healthy, but Tony Pollard has a big contract incentive, so if he's good to go, he's going to be out there.
2 touchdowns to get
so he'll be out there if he's good to go. Nah, Tajay Spears though is probably not. He's doubtful.
Yeah, so
if it is Pollard out there, it's just Pollard.
Tennessee's currently sitting with the second pick of the draft. A win probably bumps them out of the top 5, depending on how other games go. So, honestly, playing 2 quarterbacks is a good way to lose a football game. So,
100%. As a Giants fan, I love that. Like Tennessee, they're playing backups. New England probably playing most backups with Buffalo. So like all of these teams, the draft order is going to be completely different after Sunday. It's going to be insane to see how it plays out.
So you guys are currently at 4. I think Cleveland's drafting
behind Cleveland.
I think Cleveland's the only one we can lock in for a for-sure loss. So they're going to be drafting 1, 2, or 3. Cleveland.
Yep. I agree. Cleveland is one of those teams that you can lock in the top 3 of the NFL draft.
If Cleveland drafts 1, do they take a quarterback? Or do you?
Yes.
Yeah?
No, you do, because you're only stuck to Watson after this year. Yeah. After this, you have an out.
Yeah.
And now you just saved so much on a rookie contract. That's your 5 years.
Yeah.
That's Cleveland's out right there. Cleveland is praying for a quarterback in this draft.
That's true. And 3, they could get one if New England takes. Yeah, if New England loves Travis Hunter so much that they're not willing to move. Yeah,
100%.
Houston, we're going to see Davis Mills, who I feel's been their backup quarterback / starter for like 15 years now.
Since Matt Schaub was there, dude. I swear to God, he was backing up Matt Schaub, freaking giraffe neck here. Davis Mills is another quarterback I do not stand, dude. I hate how he has a job. There's so many other better quarterbacks out there. He was
overdrafted too, but they loved his size. He was drafted like the 2nd or 3rd. And I remember I liked him as like a.
He's a big body with great intangibles, 6'4", 225. Okay,
I was just like, 5th round. This guy, he's got no experience. Yeah, I'd love that. And they took him in like the 3rd.
Yeah. He should have been drafted where Tanner McKee was drafted, dude. He's the same quarterback.
Does Davis Mills win this game for the Texans?
Man, he's going up against 2 elite athletes in Mason Rudolph and Will Levis out here, dual quarterbacks. Oh, man, I kind of think, oh, God, I don't know. I'm going Tennessee. I don't know where I'd go with this game.
I'm also picking the Titans. The Texans right now are just kind of a team that exists, and
they're playing wonky. They had 2 points last week, dude, with starters.
Like, Obviously, they're getting a home playoff game. Do you think there's a chance they beat Pittsburgh or the Chargers?
I mean, any given Sunday, like any team in the playoffs can win. It's going to be a lot harder for Houston to get a playoff win than any other team, though.
Like, I'd say, like, maybe if they had a coaching edge, but if they're going against Pittsburgh and Chargers, Tomlin and Harbaugh are better coaches than D'Amico Ryans. There's no disrespect to D'Amico. No. I love him. He's a good coach, but he's not those guys yet.
He's a phenomenal coach.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way the Texans win a playoff game. I don't think they win this game either. I'm going Tennessee as well.
Yeah, they're very similar to the Philly last year, where they're just like imploding now, and their coach is still young. Like Sirianni, D'Amico, they're still like 3-4 year coaches, and you can't stack that up against Mike Tomlin's 18-year run or Hardball's amazing career from college to pros to college to pro. Like, no, yeah, it's gonna be a rough stretch of time here for Houston.
Yeah. All right.
They better
last 1 o'clock game, the Jacksonville Jaguars take on the Indianapolis Colts. Colts are 5-point home favorites over under 44. This is the last game for Doug Peterson, the season finale. Yeah, there's no way Shad Khan runs.
He's not back.
They need to fire Balky too. They need to start fresh. And I've talked to you in private about it. I don't know if I brought it up on the podcast, but like, I think Ben Johnson to Jacksonville makes a ton of sense. Like, I think I'm way higher on the Jacksonville roster than you are, but I think he can come in, work wonders with Trevor Lawrence. He's got an elite receiver in Brian Thomas Jr., and then he gets to bring his own GM with him, I think, and he's got an owner who wants to spend and put out a good football team. I just feel like it's a good situation.
Yeah, it's not horrendous, and they do have a lot of talent. Like, at the end of the day, ETN is still a really athletic running back, too. He's just had a bad year. You can't get stuck on the 1 year thing. Like, ETN has proven multiple times. It wasn't just a 1 year fluke. He's been good for a couple seasons now. This year, he was obviously just banged up. And you do have BTJ, and pretty much that's about it. Trevor Lawrence as well, obviously. It's just hard leaving a job like Detroit to go to Jacksonville, dude. No, I get that.
Hard. But like, I'd rather go to the Jaguars than the Bears. I get Caleb Williams is there. I just don't trust. But like, they're not going to fire Ryan Poles, so he's not going to pick his own GM. And the Bears ownership don't. Yeah, they don't care. The Bears owner, like they're just throwing out shit product after shit product. Where it's like Shad Khan, what he pays dudes, like he throws around money like to try to make the Jaguars better. So to me, it's a way better situation.
The Jags are always paying in free agents. Yeah. It is ownership-wise in Chicago, for sure. If I was Ben Johnson, though, I'm sticking in Detroit one more year. I'm sorry. The coaching jobs this season are just horrendous in my eyes.
I really like the Jags job. Weak division. Like, he could easily win that division next year. Like, the Texans won this division. They're going to be 9-8.
Houston's really the only competition here because Anthony Richardson's the Colts quarterback.
And
so
the
they're
Colts
not
in general are just constant second, third place finishers. They don't ever improve. Like, I like Shane Steichen as a coach. I think Shane Steichen's a good coach.
Pat McAfee went off,
Shane Steichen might be like, he's not ready for a head coach yet. Get him some more, like maybe he gets fired, takes an offensive coordinator job again, does wonders there, and eventually finds a second head coaching job where I think he does better. Like, the ownership in Indy, Jim Irsay, he said no fucks. He just doesn't fucking care. Like, he has no problems just running his mouth on Twitter about his money and all of his bullshit. Chris Ballard, real good eye for talent. Like, Colts have a ton of good players that he's brought in through the draft. It's just, it never gets put together. Like, I don't know. I think if Chris Ballard got fired, he would also get a job as a general manager somewhere else. Shane Steichen, I also think, gets a job. I think the Colts just need a clean sweep. And maybe Jim Irsay needs to sell the team, but that's never going to happen. But I also don't think the Colts win this game. I'm picking Jacksonville.
I also have the Jags marked here for the dub. The Colts are just Pat McAfee went off about accountability and the players are being late to meetings and no one really gives a fuck about what's happening there in Indy. And that's just not Colts football. Like, we grew up with Peyton, dude, and like Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison, Dallas Clark, fucking Edge in the backfield, dude. Like, the Colts were just always the second best team in the AFC behind New England, sometimes the best team. Like, This is just unacceptable. They've been dog shit for the last 10 years, just run of the mill, doing
ever
nothing.
Since Andrew Luck retired.
And you know how I feel about Richardson. I'm telling you right now, he's not the guy for this team. He's just not gonna do it. He's super athletic and he has all the potential in the world, but that's all it is. It's just potential, dude. Like, he's not consistent enough to put it together. I would like to see him in 2 to 3 years, where the hell he's at, but I hope to God he's not starting the next 2 years for anyone.
He's
too rough,
I think
dude.
with good coaching, Anthony Richardson would be fine. It's just a matter. I guess Shane Steichen's not that guy. I don't know who is that guy. I don't know. But if I'm the Colts, like, and I'm moving on, in interviews, that's the first thing. I'm like, how are you going to mold Anthony Richardson into our franchise quarterback? Like, what are you going to do differently than Shane Steichen, or do different? Like, what are you going to do to fix Anthony Richardson? Like, that's the thing here. Like, I don't know who that guy is. Maybe he ends up in Minnesota in 2 to 3 years if Darnold.
And that's what I would like. You have to be able to stay fluid here for Indy. Like, bring in a guy that has a plan for Richardson, but you need to make sure he has a really, really good backup plan, because Anthony Richardson is probably not the guy.
Chances are that, like, if they come in and Richardson's there and they bomb, they should have a top 5 pick in line to get a quarterback, and then that coach gets his own quarterback.
Theoretically.
We'll see. Do you think Shane Steichen gets fired?
No.
I hope he does, for his sake. Just because, like, I think
he's got one more year.
I think next year could just be abysmal for him, and then it kind of flutters him out. They need a new defensive coordinator. Gus Bradley should be fired. They got to figure something out there in Indy.
Yeah.
But I do think Jacksonville wins. I think Brian Thomas Jr. goes off. Again, he's been incredible this year. Kansas City and Denver. Chiefs go to Denver. Broncos are 10.5 point home favorites. Carson Wentz starting for the Chiefs, over under a 40. I think it's a little disrespectful. Or Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo not playing? Their backups coaching? Like, I don't care that the Chiefs backups are playing. A double-digit line to me is disrespectful.
Yeah, I wouldn't have had it. I would have had it at like 6.5. But there's also a chance Wentz doesn't even play the whole game, because they're talking about that he's the backup. If he gets hurt, then who? So I expect Wentz to not be out there all 4 quarters. And come on, dude. Like, we seen Carson Steele earlier, dude. He looked like Kenny Pickett throwing the ball on the ground every time he ran. He would just run right into the ground. He's just not a good running
He was Timu Isaiah Pacheco, just ran really hard, but went nowhere.
Went nowhere with it. Yeah, he would run right into the line, dude. Ugh. Carson Steele was quite the experiment for fantasy football during the middle of the season.
You don't think we see Kareem Hunt?
I think we see a little Kareem Hunt, not a lot.
I don't think we see any Pacheco.
No, I think it's going to be mostly Carson Steele and
Pirine.
Pirine.
I think Pirine's going to play over Carson Steele. I think we might not see Carson Steele.
Hopefully not. I agree, but I would take Pirine 7 days out of 7 days over Carson Steele. Dude, it's not even close.
Is there any way the Chiefs win this game?
Probably not. Like, at the end of the day, you can throw out a well-coached team is going to perform. But Denver's also a really well-coached team. So it's not much of an advantage for Kansas City being well-coached, but I would probably lean Denver here.
Yeah, I think the Denver Broncos win. They get into the playoffs. That's the important part. If Denver wins, they're in. And they're going to crush the...
Yeah, Cortland Sutton also has a contract extension, so watch out for his game. He's going to probably have a big game.
They're going to crush my hopes and dreams of the Bengals making the playoffs, but I shouldn't be blaming Denver for that. I should be blaming Cincinnati. You guys shouldn't have lost to Jacoby Brissett week 1.
Oh, 100%. It's not
win that
Denver,
one game. This is all different.
But it's 100% different. But as the residential Bo Nix guy on the pod, God bless Bo Nix, baby.
Hey,
getting that team to the playoffs is rookie year, dude. Like, no one in the world thought that was going to happen, dude. Yeah, that's crazy.
Take your walk. I mean, Bo Nix I've grown on him way more. Like, he has shown me things that like good. I didn't necessarily see on the tape in Oregon, and Sean Payton's really unlocked him well, and he's done a great job. And hopefully going forward, he continues to develop into a franchise guy. Like during draft season, we always thought like good floor. We always thought that good floor guy. Didn't think he had a big ceiling. I think his ceiling. I think he added another floor to his household.
He built a little second story to that little floor he has going on. I think he's actually a little bit above his floor already as a rookie. And I do want to see him take strides forward and getting the ball down the field a little bit more, using your guys downfield. Like, he's doing everything Bo Nix in Oregon did tremendously. Now it's time to show us that you can learn and you can develop. Don't just be this. Don't let this be your career, Bo. Like, you get a little bit better, take steps forward, and just keep taking the team to the playoffs, dude. Like, you could have a really good career.
I can't wait to see what Denver does in the offseason. I hope they bring him in, whether it be draft one of the tight ends in Tyler Warren or Cortland Sutton, or if they can get Luther Burden, if he somehow falls to them in the draft, I think he'd be a great pickup. He'd pair well really nicely with Cortland Sutton. So, like, I want to see them bring in another weapon. Though I do think Marvin Mims is going to be a big part of this team next year. I think Marvin Mims is going to be my sleeper right now of guy I'm going to be targeting heavy in later rounds of drafts. He's come on really strong here at the end of the year.
He's looked great the last couple of weeks for sure. I want him to hit on 2 of the 3 position players during free agents and drafts. I'm not saying you have to spend a high early day draft pick on a running back or a tight end, but like a second or third, go get one of them, bring another guy in free agents, but bring in a running back, bring in a receiver, bring in a tight end, bring in 2 or 3
this
of those
team
guys.
needs a lock stock at running back.
For sure. Getting Bo Nix a running game would be tremendous.
Do you think Jordan Mason is that kind of player? Because he's a free agent. I don't think he's going to cost a ton of money.
He wouldn't cost a bunch. But I really am worried about the San Fran system thing. Like, don't get me wrong, he looked amazing. I think he could be a really good running back. I don't think he can be that somewhere else. So
I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
I see him as like a really good complementary back to someone, a good 2-horse back.
Just if they could find a way to trade for Alvin Kamara, but I don't think the Saints are moving on from him. Get Kamara back with Sean Payton.
That would be glorious.
The Chargers go to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. Chargers are 4.5-point favorites, over under 41.5. Now, the Chargers are in a situation where they might play their backups. If Pittsburgh wins on Saturday, the Chargers can't jump them, and I don't think we see the full slate of the LA Chargers. But if Pittsburgh loses, you know Harbaugh is going to be out there.
Exactly. It's a go. Especially, again, versus the Raiders. Yeah, they're going to be grinding, dude. Pretty much just like Detroit was in that pointless game versus the Niners, dude. That game meant absolutely nothing, but Dan Campbell was like, guess what? We're going out there, and we're going out there fucking hard, dog. We took Viagra's before this game, and everyone for Detroit went out there and played their fucking balls off, dude. Detroit's crazy. That game meant absolutely nothing. What the hell are we doing?
If Vegas wins this game, there's a chance they fall to like the 10th pick of the draft.
That would be insane, dude.
If there is a world where Minnesota lets Sam Darnold go, I think Vegas is a great spot for Darnold. Brock Bowers is there.
If you guys,
it's not going to happen.
Let him go. Happen. I will go to New Jersey, and I will petition every day. I will quit my job, and I will make it my full-time job with a sign that says you need to sign Sam Darnold.
But do you think Sam Darnold
would be outlandish?
You think he wants to come back to New York?
We have.
I get that,
Jets,
but
dude.
You guys haven't had the best success.
We got Malik.
Yeah, I get. Yes, you do have Malik.
We got Malik. We haven't had the best success because the last 5 years we've had Daniel Jones as a quarterback. I do think
you guys are also a good landing spot for Sam Darnold, but I think we could. That's not a world where we're probably living in. You guys have a really good left tackle, borderline elite left tackle, Andrew Thomas. You have a on the rise Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
Tyrone Tracy, serviceable running back. And I feel the same about Vegas. Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers. And then if they can find a running back, whether it be like Najee Harris or they bring in maybe Aaron Jones if Minnesota lets him go. Mm-hmm. I think Vegas is a good spot. I ultimately think this is the Justin Fields landing spot, Las Vegas.
Well, it's not going to be the Giants. He's black. We notoriously hate black quarterbacks. So Quinn Ewers, you are the winner.
That guy's not coming out.
He
did look good against Arizona State.
He looked good
against Arizona State, but
give Quinn his flowers.
Still, I'm not putting one game. I'll put him to a.
Oh no! But you look at his stuff last year, though. He still looked good
at times. I still
not this season.
I still see him as like a 4th round guy. I'm just not high on Quinn Ewers.
This is off season talk, but yeah, I kind of agree. I agree to that. But he's white.
Okay.
Giants love white quarterbacks, dog.
Chargers win this game if the Chargers starters are out there. I don't think the Chargers win this game if it's Easton Stick or Taylor Heineke.
I think Taylor Heineke can get the job done. He's like a gunslinger, dude. He's one of those backups that come in here and they don't play with like a free. Do you think Harbaugh wants a guy
gunslinging? I think he's going to want to play like we're going to try to run. God. We're going to Kamani Vidal.
Sometimes that doesn't work. Taylor Heineke would be at that line, Peyton Manning yelling audibles, brother. We're passing. Jameis Winston style. We're changing the line at the play, dog. We're changing the play.
Honestly, I think John Harbaugh would be like, I fuck with that. Yeah. That guy's got balls, brother.
Yeah, probably. You have the balls to go out there and constantly change my plays? All right.
Get you a pair of khakis for Christmas, brother.
Yeah, you'll be on this sideline with us next season, brother.
I'm gonna pick the Chargers because I think Cincinnati wins, so I think the Chargers are gonna have something to play for.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be out there at least half the game, regardless. Just giving them a game to go. And Vegas. They are Vegas. That's right. I called them Vegas probably for the first time in podcast history. That felt so wrong.
You almost corrected yourself and said Oakland.
Yeah, because it sounded wrong. Vegas just isn't a good team, dude. Like we talked about Pierce. He's a good locker room guy. He's just not a good coach, though. He's an idiot. No.
I know. We also different here. Yeah. I think Vegas's roster is an easy retool. Like I think if they bring in a new coach, like I don't think there's gonna be a lot of. I think they got a good roster. I just think they need to get the right.
Look at Vegas's roster, very similar to the Giants roster. Like they have Crosby, we have Dexter Lawrence. They have Brock Bowers, we have Malik Neighbors. We have very similar pieces here to go around. We have Andrew Thomas. We have some decent pieces on the secondary as well. But I kind of like both spots. And Jacksonville's also right there with all three of those teams, though. Like, they're fine rosters, but I don't think any of them are good places for Ben Johnson to go.
I disagree. I think Jacksonville is. The other two, not at all.
Yeah, you like him in Jacksonville. I would, if I had to pick between those three, I would like him in Jacksonville. Shit. But
Jacksonville might, if the Dallas job isn't open, I think Jacksonville might be like my top coaching job.
I don't like any of the jobs.
I mean, I'd like New Orleans and the Jets to me are the worst two.
The Jets are the worst. The Jets are the worst possible. What are you going to do there?
No, I agree.
You're possibly stuck with Rodgers, and you're stuck with terrible ownership. And if you're stuck with Rodgers, you're stuck with 40 other guys that just don't want to be there.
And
so it's like it's either the
Saints is a lot of cap situation because the Saints, as much as they love avoiding the cap penalties, but like they're just constantly kicking stuff down the road. Like eventually, that's catching you. Like you can't just keep
they're still kicking like Mike Thomas stuff down the road.
They're still paying Drew Brees, I'm sure.
The Saints are a horrendous spot.
Low key, I kind of want them to bring Drew Brees in to be their coach. I think that's a fun fuck around situation. He's coaching. He's coaching.
Sure. I get it. You know how I feel about coaches and players and God. I'm not a big fuck around kind of guy when it comes to an NFL team. I want someone that's going to go in there and get the job done.
What if Drew Brees is a great coach? We don't know.
I'm not willing to take that chance, though.
Kevin O'Connell, former player.
Bad player. Difference.
Good quarterback. Harbaugh was a decent player.
Decent. Wasn't like great.
I'm trying to think of
I want my coaches to be backups because they're on the sidelines with the coaches. They're learning as the whole week. That's what
Jason
backups do.
Backup.
Jason Garrett's an amazing offensive coordinator. Well, he just shit the bed for the Giants.
Okay. Dolphins and the Jets.
Completely off topic for the last 5 minutes, by the way.
Hey, that's what you get for Week 18. This podcast is it's off the rails
exactly. Here. This episode is nonsense. Like, why are we like? If you're actually playing fantasy this week, that's crazy, dude. I couldn't even imagine playing fantasy football.
I'd be rolling with Amir Abdullah.
All of these games, it's like the wild, wild west. Like, none of these games have rules. These games are all just, what the hell is going to happen? We have no idea. Honestly, who's playing? I don't know.
I was going to say, like, the only way I'm playing Week 18 is every other team who didn't make the championship, you get to draft their guys and try to build the best team, but, like, half those guys probably aren't playing. Or you only draft guys from, like, teams that are playing, like, real football. Like, Minnesota and Detroit. You get to draft those guys. And, hey, I don't know. Miami and the Jets. Dolphins are 1 point road favorites over under 39. Snoop Huntley's playing. I blanked on his first name. Tyler.
Did you call him
his nickname?
Snoop?
That's a legitimate thing. His name is.
Oh, is that his? I did not know that.
Yeah, Snoop Huntley. I wasn't doing a bit. That's his legitimate nickname is Snoop. I blanked on his first name, Tyler. He's starting for the Dolphins. Jets. Rodgers is going to be out there, and I imagine if he gets touchdown 500, he's out the game then. Goodbye. And then it's Tyrod.
I think Rodgers plays the whole game.
Okay. Well, I mean, if he doesn't get his touchdown.
I think there's a legitimate chance this is his last game. I think
if he plays the whole
game,
then I'm saying he's out. He's done. I think if he gets...
I think he's going to play it regardless because he doesn't know what the Jets are making.
That's fair.
Like, he has to believe that this could possibly be his last game because no one's going to give him a chance. Like, last week was one of the, statistically one of the worst games in NFL history he had last year.
Did you see he was interviewed and asked if this was his last game, and he said, I don't know, but I'm not going to need a darkness retreat this year to figure out, like, if I'm playing again next year. So, like, I think he even knows that he might be done.
He was garbage this year. Like, he had decent stats, quote for quote, but, like, if you look at all, like, his deep analytic stats and whatnot, he was trash, dude. He was horrendous.
Yeah, don't trust a quarterback coming off an Achilles injury. Atlanta.
And it also brings in, like, if he's back here with the Jets, like, Garrett Wilson's already come out and said he doesn't want to be here if Rodgers is here. And Garrett Wilson's a huge part of this team. He's a young, up-and-coming superstar receiver. Devontae Adams is an Aaron Rodgers guy. He's old. He's on his way out. Don't get me wrong, Devontae Adams is still amazing. And I'll go to the bat for Devontae until he's done. But Rodgers is washed, dude. Like, it's time to hang him up or go ride off into the sunset in some horrendous franchise that doesn't need to win this year.
Regardless, Rodgers or Tyrod Taylor, I think the Jets win this game.
I don't know, man. This is a horrendous game, but I'll take the Dolphins.
It's going to be nice and cold on Sunday.
I will take the Jets.
That's going to be a low of 27, so not too cold. That's normal cold for
that's not
us,
that bad.
For Miami, though.
For us, yeah, that's... Yeah, Miami is notoriously horrendous in cold games. I'm going to say they break the streak, though. I'll roll the dice. I'll get risky here. It's Week 18, dude. It's the 90s. Who cares?
No, I'm going with the Jets. Aaron Rodgers gets his 500th touchdown. And then I think Tyrod Taylor's...
I hope not. I hope he doesn't.
If he doesn't, he's playing. He's
happen
playing
to a nicer guy. I hope he doesn't get.
And then
I
think we're gonna see. I think we're gonna see Tyrod Taylor, who I also believe is going to be the Jets' starting quarterback next year. Hey, I don't think they're gonna be in line.
Man, this guy.
I don't think they're gonna be in line to draft a guy. They're gonna have a new coach, new GM. It falls back to the situation where, like, new coach, new GM. They don't have to draft a quarterback. They can go in with Tyrod, get their guy next year.
You don't think a coach just wants to bring in their own quarterback, though?
Tyrod's under contract. I think Tyrod is going to win over a coach. He's a pro.
He is.
They also drafted Jordan Travis, who's healthy, but I mean, he's nothing. He's
Nah,
bad. But
stop it.
I think that's the route. I think those are going to be and they'll bring in a guy, but I don't think it's going to be a guy to compete with Tyrod. I think it's going to be a guy to compete with Jordan Travis.
You don't think they can bring like Jameis?
No, I don't.
Him to Garrett Wilson? Dog, come on, dude. What are we talking
that
about
would be
here?
fun, but no.
Jameis got Jerry Jeudy to the Pro Bowl, dude. He can get fucking Garrett Wilson to an all-pro
Jameis
season.
should go to the Colts.
What is he? He's literally
That's
just
true.
following
I
Joe
didn't even
Flacco?
put that together. Jameis should go to the Titans.
I'll take him.
Yeah,
I'll
good like
take him.
neighbors. Yeah, I'm here for that. Yeah,
Big dogs
Yeah.
on campus.
Seattle
I think
and
Jameis
the
for you.
Rams. Seahawks are 6.5-point favorites over under of 38.5. Rams aren't playing their guys, so I'll be interested to see what Blake Corum
Yep.
does. He's going to get the start. I
Yep.
think Seattle wins this game. Jimmy Garoppolo's not good.
Yeah, he's never really been good. He's a product of good guys around him, right system, and he looks feasible, but he's never looked good. But yeah, I got Seattle. Backup guys. It's kind of a game for the Rams that I'm just, like you said, I like to watch Blake Corum. I want to see their receivers. TJ Johnson's playing well. Whittington and Tutu Atwell, guys that are pretty much, never on the field because of Puka and Cooper Kupp and Robinson.
Yep. And Seattle, I don't know who's Charbonnet, Ken Walker is on IR, so it is Charbonnet. I think Ken Walker's on IR.
Yeah,
So
he is.
Charbonnet should have a good game. DK, JSN, we're looking into the future with them. I think the Seahawks are a sneaky JJ McCarthy team next year if Minnesota's going to want to deal them.
I agree.
Anything else in this game? We're really cruise through that one.
That game's really self-explanatory. It's not for anything. The Rams are benching their guys. Seattle, dude. Do you think they coach changed
No,
next year?
they just brought in a new coach. Mike McDonald's their new coach.
I get that.
No, they're finished. They have a winning record.
Yeah.
I think Seattle did better than a lot of people thought they were. Second place in the division. Most people were having them finishing last. I think Mike McDonald's a great coach.
I agree.
He's young.
Agree.
He's young. He's 30. He's 37. I think this is a full commitment. Seattle's not a team that just bounces out a coach. Look how long they rolled with Pete Carroll and Mike Holmgren before
I get that. I'm more so looking at like what they've done with Geno before in the past, and this team really struggled offensively this year.
Well, I mean, McDaniel's a defensive guy I don't even know who their offensive coordinator is a guy who's never coached in the NFL before. If anybody gets fired, it's gonna be him.
Oh well, that's crazy. Did they bring in one of the Washington guys?
Yeah, they brought in the Washington offensive coordinator.
Okay. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, that's just risky, dude. I don't like that. Their offense wasn't that good this year. Like, DK took a huge leap back.
He did.
Tyler Lockett was pretty much awful. And Tyler Lockett, come on, he's been great for the last decade.
Geno had over 4,000 yards. It just wasn't like the line's bad. They really need that's what they need to do. Shore up that offensive line. Get a right tackle. Figure out Abraham Lucas. Either move him to guard or just move on from him in general. Find a future quarterback to take over Geno. I still think Geno. He completed over 70% of his passes. I think Geno's still a good quarterback. I wouldn't be trying.
He's a big problem here.
I don't think he's the problem. I don't think it's a Geno Smith issue.
I think he's part of it. He had 15 picks this year.
I know, but I don't think it. I don't think it was all on him.
I'm not saying it is all on him, but he had under 20 total touchdowns, 15 picks. You got to look at Geno here at some point. He's 34 and
I'm looking to get
his whole career
quarterback, but I'm not actively looking to I'm not going to go out there and try to pay Jameis Winston. I'm not going to try to go up and trade for Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders.
No.
I think this is a good Jalen Milroe situation. He can sit a year, and I think that's good for him. I think that's what he needs if he's going to get drafted first round. He can't be playing. He's not ready. So Jalen Mills.
No, you've seen it when he's already played in his last couple games.
I think that's a
ready.
prime thing. Even like with McCarthy, McCarthy I think would have to play next year if he got traded to Seattle. I think he would eventually come in. But
yeah,
I'm not actively. I don't think Geno is the full-on problem. I think Geno's serviceable. I think they got. I think
no, the offensive line's a part of the huge problem.
That's where I think Seattle needs to go out and
because
fix that problem.
Like Geno is serviceable behind a really good offensive line and a lot of weapons, which he had 2 years ago. The line has greatly decreased. Tyler Lockett's got old. The run game's not consistent because they're not out there. It's not Geno's fault, but like Geno needs a lot around him to be really good.
Fine. Look what Jackson Smith-Njigba did this year. He took the ball. He took over the Tyler Lockett spot.
No, the weapons are fine, yes, but Geno's not. Like his season 2 years ago was a top 5 fantasy finish. This season he was like 17.
Yeah, I think it was more trying to find a balance
a
and first-time coordinator. I think Geno's going to be their guy next year, but they do need to get the guy in place. Like I don't think they can wait too long. Because if Geno's there, they're still going to be sort of in the Colts range. They're going to be in mediocrity. Like they're not going to be a bad team with Geno. They'll be a 7 to 10 win team, and you're not going to be able to get a franchise quarterback. Whereas this draft doesn't have that guy, but Jalen Miller was a guy who could sit. He has the intangibles. I think that's the way Seattle should go. But it would be hard for me to turn down drafting an offensive lineman at their position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
But McCarthy is the sneak. If they can get J.J. McCarthy, I think if they can blow Minnesota away, that's the route they should go.
Yeah, I'm. If Geno Smith was like in terms of like a job, I wouldn't quit Geno Smith until I had a job lined up already. There are quarterbacks in this league I would quit instantly for sure. But Geno is part of the problem. Yeah, I'm not saying it's all him, but he definitely contributes.
San Fran and Arizona, Niners travel to Arizona. Cardinals are 4-point favorites over under 42.5. We're going to see Josh Dobbs' revenge game. Does that mean anything to you for the Niners? No.
No.
To me, this is the Isaac Guerrero. If he comes out here, blows up, I don't think there's any... I know the Niners love Jordan Mason, but apples to apples, him and Guerrero. Why pay Jordan Mason?
Mason's not going to be back
plus
regardless.
You still have Elijah Mitchell. So, but I think if Guerrero would come out here and dud, there's a chance because I don't think Mason's going to warrant a big contract. So I think he could come back cheap to San Francisco. But if
I think Guerrero's looked good enough already to prove that he's just a feasible guy.
But does he look better than Jordan Mason? I don't think so.
Not at the beginning, but the back end of Jordan Mason, he was average.
He was hurt. He was playing through those injuries to try to get this team.
But so was Guerrero. Guerrero's been questionable the last 3 weeks. So he's also playing banged up, and he's looking just as fine as Jordan Mason did in the back end.
Yeah.
Like Jordan Mason looked great to start. I get it, but I mean, any running back from San Fran,
chance that they're just going to go right back to Elijah Mitchell as the backup running back because they love 100%. That
guy. San Fran has a bunch of like injury needs and stuff, and they got to pay Purdy at some point possibly.
They're going to pay Purdy. Brock Purdy's a good quarterback.
Yeah, with all the talent around him, you're not going to have all that talent when you're paying him. You already see it already shows on paper when you take away one weapon, he's a completely different quarterback. And now you're taking away a lot more than just one thing.
Yeah, but I trust the Niners bringing in pieces to replace that. Ayuk's going to be back. Kittle's still going to be there. McCaffrey, we'll see what his health looks like going into next year. So I don't think
not a Purdy guy.
Let Purdy go. Like he was still fine this year. He was still good for fantasy as well.
He's fine. Yeah, I agree, but I think San Fran is one of those systems you could plug in any quarterback, Minnesota style, and they're going to be fine.
I agree, but there's always
So I don't think you need to pay a quarterback $100 plus $180 million to just be feasible.
But then
you got Brock Purdy, literally the last pick of the draft.
I think Brock Purdy should have been drafted before that. So
I agree.
I don't. Yeah,
I'm not saying they'll wait till the 7th, but draft a guy in the 3rd, draft a guy in the 4th. I trust San
that's a
Fran
lot
to
of
get
playing
a
with
quarterback.
fire though when you already have a proven commodity. I'd rather just pay Brock Purdy than try to hit again on Brock Purdy.
You sound like all the Niners fans when they had Jimmy G.
Well,
we have Jimmy G. We have a proven commodity.
No, see,
you don't. You have a guy in a system.
Brock Purdy's better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
I agree, but every time Jimmy G was there, people loved it, and he was the guy. It's a system thing. San Fran can plug in any quarterback. Brock Purdy's not that good.
Well, not that good. He is
fine.
A top 15 NFL quarterback.
That makes him average. That's middle of the road.
There's a lot of good quarterbacks,
but 15's literally that's the middle of the pack.
But I would say he's I have him right under like an elite quarterback. I'm viewing Brock Purdy how I did Kirk Cousins when Kirk Cousins was healthy coming into Minnesota. That's how I see Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy is a starting caliber, really good quarterback.
I think if Kirk Cousins would go to San Fran, he could put up as good as numbers as Brock Purdy, and that's talking now, Kirk Cousins.
I don't.
Yes,
I don't
100%. Know. He doesn't have to move. It's 100% a system. Kirk Cousins could go to San Fran and do what Brock Purdy's doing. 100%. He's a more accurate
Kirk
quarterback.
Cousins isn't seeing things. He is just he doesn't have the zip that he used to have. He's turning the ball over at a higher rate than he ever has. So I think Kirk Cousins is done.
Yeah, no, I would in that system 100% take Kirk Cousins over Brock Purdy. I don't like Brock Purdy. I think if you put him in any other system, he's
Agree to disagree.
He is truly a different quarterback when you take away his weapons. He's like bad.
I think this year is just a wash year. I'm not contributing this to a Brock Purdy.
I'm not talking this year. You talk about last year when Debo would miss a game. When George Kittle would miss a game. Brock Purdy's stats drastically changed.
They're gonna have weapons though. I don't think they're gonna always get hurt.
But you're not always going to have weapons when you're paying a quarterback $180 million.
I trust them to bring in the weapons, whether through the draft or finding guys, cheap free agents.
No.
I don't think.
I would not pay Purdy. I would pay him a middle of the road deal. I wouldn't pay him anywhere near top 10 deal.
I think Brock Purdy's going to settle for. I don't think he's going to get a $50 million deal, and I think he knows that. But I would pay him.
I think he's going to get a lot of money. I would pay
him, I don't know the market rate, a little less than what Baker Mayfield's getting currently. Not because Baker's next contract, he's going to push into 50 as he should. I think Baker's getting, 32? 34?
I couldn't tell you Baker's deal. I'm not a contract guy.
But that's around what I would pay. I would pay him around the Baker Mayfield deal. It was 3 for $100.
Ugh, no.
I wouldn't sign him to a 5-6 year deal, but I would give him 3 for $100. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. I think he's gonna get close to $40 million a year.
Okay.
And that's not. What
I don't know if they can give him $40 million. There's the problem. Yeah.
They're.
Game of the week, game of the year, Minnesota.
It's the game of all time. What are we talking about?
Regular season game of all time. Minnesota, Detroit, Vikings go to Lions, number 1 seed up for grabs. NFC North up for grabs. Lions are 2.5 point home favorites. Have you seen the spread for this game?
It's like
56.5. So yeah,
pretty
we're
high.
expecting a big offensive game here. The highest, I was trying to see if I can find the highest over under, like I did with the spreads. Yeah, the highest over under. I can only find the highest scoring game of all time. Okay, that's never mind. This game's gonna be wild.
Oh yeah, I literally had a coworker come up to me today because he was placing a bet. He goes, "You think the Vikings-Lions game's gonna hit over 80?" And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "You think they're each gonna score 40 points?" And I'm like, "No, but maybe." you guys have a really good defense, so that's kind of out of the picture. But it was 31-29 last time you guys played. It's going to be a great game regardless of what happens. I'm so excited for this game.
Hopefully it is. And it on paper should be. Everyone's going to be coming out here and playing insanely tough football. The Lions, well-coached team. Minnesota, well-coached team. Aaron Jones looks like he's going to be playing, so that's big for Minnesota.
You guys are a much better coached team. Nothing against Dan Campbell. He's a fine coach. Sometimes, though, he does dumb shit. That does not happen to Kevin O'Connell.
Dan Campbell... Dan Campbell's more of the motivator, get your guys going kind of coach. Kevin O'Connell has that. He can do that. He does that really good. But Kevin O'Connell's also like an actual like offensive minded coach.
He's a guru coach. He's right there with McVay and all those offensive minded.
Dan Campbell's
freaks.
sort of like Mike Tomlin on steroids. Like Mike Tomlin, like he's just a leader. Like Mike Tomlin doesn't really like.
There's no comparison.
He's hands off.
Him.
Like he's not like he doesn't have his mitts in on the offense. Like he doesn't call the plays. He doesn't hand. But he's just there, and he's the CEO. There we go. He's like the CEO of that team.
Yeah, but like Campbell's like so energetic and yelling constantly. I've never seen Mike Tomlin really.
Well, yeah,
he's angry
he's on steroids
all the time.
Like Dan Campbell's on,
but like the play calls and stuff. Like Campbell's just nuts.
So would he be like a really good mad scientist version of like Ron Rivera?
I was trying to in my head. I'm like, how can I compare him to Ron Rivera? Ron Rivera was an amazing coach, but he's just 500 all the time. Dan Campbell's just that.
He's what Ron Rivera wanted to be.
Play call styles, he's right with Ron Rivera. He's like, I'm going for it on 4th and 2. 80% of the time, I don't care what happens.
And you can't rattle Dan Campbell.
Yeah, and like sometimes you just got to get 3 points and give it back to the other team. It's okay. It's okay to kick field goals sometimes, Dan. It's fine. You have a good kicker, my guy. But oh man, you guys have a way better coach. Nothing against Dan Campbell.
I don't think the general media or the general like public would agree with you that Kevin O'Connell's a better coach.
No.
I think NFL people
the general media is idiots. Exactly. They're looking at people like Jahmyr Gibbs and they're trying to tell me that he's better than Bijan, and I'm getting furious.
I would tell you Kevin O'Connell is the better coach.
Kevin O'Connell he's probably really close to top 5.
High praising Minnesota because I don't want to come off as a homer, and I also don't want to just overhype my feelings for my own team. But I do legitimately think Kevin O'Connell is a top 5 head coach. I think he wins on any team. If he goes to any team, he's putting forward
exactly 100%. You're going to get, and he gets every bit of emotion he gets out of his guys. So anything Sean McVay does, I'm cool with it. He's Kevin O'Connell. Yeah. I did that last week.
He won 13 games his first year, 14 this year, 7 last year, or 6. I don't even remember what it was last year, but last year was a weird year. But yeah, I don't know. And it's tough because I'm trying not to get overhyped about Minnesota being this really good football team, and I still see it. I come across it all the time on social media that the Vikings aren't good. They're an overrated team. They're the Lions fans I see online always want to throw out they've played an easy schedule. Brother, we've played the same freaking schedule as you guys.
Played the same
3 different
schedule,
teams.
Except 3 games.
We beat the Packers twice. They're not a Joe Schmo football team. They're a great football team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
The Vikings have amazing wins. Not that the Niners are a good win. The Niners are an amazing, well-coached team. We played
a healthy Niners team. Yeah.
You did. You guys have played the Texans, who are getting a home playoff game. You guys have beat Green Bay, who's a playoff team.
Twice.
You guys beat Indianapolis, who is wonky, but they were still fine. The Cardinals are hit or miss. They're fine. Atlanta's over 800. Over 500. Good God. over 500. So, like, you guys have played fine teams, and Detroit's playing the exact same schedule you guys are playing, minus 3 games. That's how the NFL works,
But one of those
people.
games is they played Tampa Bay, and they lost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Exactly. How did that go for the Lions?
Who wins on the Sunday? The actual toughest game of the week, not the Giants, Eagles,
Minnesota,
not Pittsburgh, Cincinnati.
I'll go Minnesota. I went Minnesota last week over Green Bay. You really felt the Green Bay win, but like it wasn't going to happen last week. You guys are a way better team than Green Bay. I'm not saying you guys are a way better team than Detroit, or even if you are a better team than Detroit, it's really hard to beat elite teams twice in a year. Detroit's already beat you once. It's so hard to do it twice. And that's what I'm putting this down on. I think Minnesota pulls this out.
I honestly am like so torn because like I don't know, like if Minnesota wins, it's great. They get the bye week at home. The playoffs run through Minnesota, and it's one of the toughest places to play. But at the same time, I don't know if the bye week would necessarily be good for Minnesota because we're on this run. I mean, obviously, if we lose that run, that winning streak's over, so we have to go on the road. But like, I think on the road we beat the Rams. Tampa's a little tougher. I don't know. I think that's a little more back and forth. So like, but like, I think I'd be fine going on the road in the playoffs. Like, I trust Kevin O'Connell and the team going forward as much as I would if the playoffs ran through Minnesota. I'm worried about the bye and resting. I worry about like taking that break, hurting the team. But I do think Detroit wins this game, and we're in all the hype. Detroit's this amazing team, and honestly, if Detroit will win this game and then Minnesota goes and beats Tampa or LA, and they play Detroit in the second round of the playoffs, I think Minnesota wins that game.
If Detroit beats you guys twice and you guys play in the playoffs, it's nearly impossible to beat elite teams 3 times in a season. It's so hard. That would be unheard of.
Yeah.
Oh man, I think Detroit needs this game more than you guys, and they need
I agree. They need the break
more
they
than
need
you guys
the rest.
do. Yeah,
but I'm going to go with Detroit. I think things line back up for them on Sunday.
Yeah, I think Detroit getting the dub would be huge for their injured guys, and then going through Detroit would help them a lot. Mm-hmm. But if they have to play next week, there's a chance we see some sneaky upset with Detroit involved. Just based off injury, going on the road, it's always a rough environment. Yeah. And the NFL, dude, again, any given Sunday.
All right.
So
let's wrap it up. Power rankings.
Oh boy.
Who you got 1 through 5?
1 through 5. I'll start from 5.
Who are your top 5?
And I'll go with, God damn, dude, because this is like almost our last power rankings. So I'm gonna go with Buffalo at 5, Minnesota at 4, Kansas City at 3. No, Detroit at 3, Kansas City at 2, Philadelphia at 1.
Okay, well, your number 1's not in my top 5.
Give Philadelphia the underdog. That's insane, dude. Philadelphia is the hottest team in football.
That would be Minnesota, my friend. We've won 10 straight games.
Okay, Philly's won what? They won 1, but before that it was 7 in a row, 8 in a row.
Minnesota's had like the 2 longest winning streaks, sans Kansas City and Philly. Like Minnesota started 5-0 or 6-0, and then they haven't lost since those 2. They lost 2 in a row, and they haven't lost since week 7. But I think Baltimore. I almost put Baltimore higher. I think Baltimore's incredible. I think they're really good. I think they're going to go on a run. I think they can win the Super Bowl. But I have Minnesota 4. I have Detroit 3. I have Buffalo 2. Kansas City has looked better than they have all year going into the playoffs, and that's so dangerous. So that I'm putting them back at 1. They're playing their best football at the right time, and it's truly nauseating that they're probably going back to the Super Bowl.
They got Buffalo that they're going to have to go through.
Possibly. But that wouldn't be till the championship. So Buffalo would have to go through Baltimore. I don't know if Buffalo beats Baltimore. That one's tough.
I think Buffalo or Baltimore could beat Kansas City.
No. I think the Super Bowl winner is going to be one of those three teams. I don't think Detroit, Minnesota, or Philly wins the Super Bowl.
I 100%
So you
disagree.
think the NFC's got the Super Bowl winner? Okay.
I am so confident that the NFC is winning the Super Bowl this year. I almost put all three NFC teams over any NFC.
I'm just going. I'm rolling with the three elite quarterbacks. That's where my mindset was. Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, who are the three best quarterbacks in the world.
Yeah, I get that. I'll take Detroit, Minnesota, and Philly over them, and if they have to go head to head, I mean, for sure. In my eyes,
I've said all year that Minnesota wouldn't beat Kansas City if they played head to head. I don't know if Minnesota can beat Baltimore or Buffalo, but I think those would be closer.
I think you could. Defenses beat good offenses, and you guys have arguably the best defense in football, and you also have Sam Darnold, who's playing out of this world, Justin Jefferson, who has 1,500 yards. You have a 1,000-yard rusher, Jordan Addison, who has 10 touchdowns. You have an elite tight end, an elite offensive line. So, hey, yeah.
Well, offensive line is not elite. It's just okay.
You have an elite offensive lineman.
One.
You have one.
And
that's all you need. You good tackles.
No, Darisol's out. We have a good right tackle.
Yeah, he is out for the year. That is right.
But Minnesota struggles with mobile quarterbacks, so I think Lamar would have a field day on Minnesota. But
I think
Baltimore's defense is. I think Baltimore's defense is as wonky as Minnesota's in terms of giving up big plays. So, I think Minnesota would hang better with Baltimore than they would Kansas City and Buffalo. But I think the gap between all these teams is small. Philly would be my 6, and I think they're also a Super Bowl contender. I think it will be one of those 6 teams that wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah, most likely. I think the Minnesota and rushing quarterbacks is like a super old stigma. You guys played Kyle Murray. You kept him under 50 yards. You have Brian Flores now, who's a different. He played okay, and you guys still beat the Cardinals.
Yeah, well, Kyler's not those guys. And
Kyler was 31 for 45 with 2 picks and a touchdown. He didn't play good.
I didn't see the game. I was at work. I just remember that we barely beat Arizona.
No, Brian Flores, good defenses beat good offenses, and that's how the NFL has always been. Kansas City has a good defense, so that's why don't hit me with the Kansas City never loses. Kansas City has elite ball play from both sides, so that's why Kansas City's been good the last 3 years. But no, I'm just saying for anyone in general that brings up, well, why is Kansas City me? I'm just like, no, just anyone in general, because I bring up that a good defense is going to beat a good offense 8 out of 10 times. That's why the Dolphins aren't good. They face good defenses, and you just get mollywopped because you can't do anything. Brian Flores is a different breed at the defensive coordinator spot. I think he could rattle with the best of them.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I have him up there with Spags, dude, in best defense coordinator in football.
We'll wrap this up here. We'll dive more into this. So schedule change going forward. Bring this up. Starting next week, we're going to go once a week. Not a whole lot of content. So we'll preview the playoff matchups, stuff like that. Bring you some prospects, and then
get you through the playoffs.
We'll do that, and then the episode after the Super Bowl, we'll do a little Super Bowl recap. And that's when we'll do our first mock draft. The whole draft order will be set, and I think that's the best time. It gives us a couple weeks to really dive in on some of the first-round guys. More guys will be announced. College football will be over. So first mock draft will be right after the Super Bowl. And then we're going to take 2 weeks off after that and come back the Monday before the Combine, which will be the 24th of February. We'll come back in that week and start really diving. That's probably when you'll see our positional rankings. So we'll be once a week here for the next couple weeks. Take a 2-week break, kind of, mental health stuff. We don't want to burn ourselves out. Because, this podcast doesn't pay the bills. We work for a living. So we want to keep ourselves fresh, give you guys the best content we can give you, and going forward there. So once a week here coming up, and then a little 2-week break. We'll do playoff previews, we'll probably do a couple prospects in the spotlight. We might do 2 or 3 each, because there'll be a gap of content because we're not doing anything fantasy related. So there you go. Drafted Up podcast, guys. You know where to find us at @DraftedUp_pod over on Twitter, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Search Drafted Up Podcast. We'll be there. Like, rate, subscribe, review, tell a friend. And then support our friends over at Dubby and Cafe Colazzo. Use code DraftedUp for a 10% discount on their products. I didn't get the ad reads in because we got too deep into the conversation. But Dubby, energy drink. They also have hydration stuff if you're not a caffeine guy. So nice, get your water intake. Or if you need that extra boost, you can go to Dubby. DUBBY, Drafted Up, 10% discount. Cafe Colazzo, if you're a coffee guy, they have good coffee. Grind up those beans. Again, code Drafted Up for a 10% discount. That's the podcast, guys. Adios. We'll see you guys next week for one episode.
Adios. Bye.